Ladies and gentlemen, 23rd Women of Color STEM Conference, a multicultural event hosted by Consumers Energy in partnership Women of Color Magazine, Texas Southern University, and Oakland University, and sponsored by General Motors and Lockheed Martin Corporation, welcomes you to the Women of Color Breakfast with Leaders and Legends, brought to you by the Boeing Company. And ladies and gentlemen, it is our pleasure to introduce our conference co-host, Senior Vice President of Customer Experience Technology and Chief Information Officer for CMS Energy and its principal subsidiary, Consumers Energy. He is responsible for Consumers Energy's overall customer experience and satisfaction and oversees customer operations, digital platforms, and marketing. As CIO, he oversees the company's technology, strategy, security, and IT operations. Please welcome to the stage, Brian Rich.
Good morning, everyone. On behalf of Consumers Energy, I'd like to welcome all of you to the 2018 Breakfast with Leaders and Legends. It's an honor to be here with so many intelligent minds and eager hearts. Most of you are here because you want to advance your career in the STEM field. Others, like me, are here to support our colleagues as they're recognized for their contributions and guide and mentor the young minds that will soon be leaders and legends themselves. We may have slightly different reasons for participating in this conference, but we all share one thing: a passion for the work we do and a desire to make a difference. The energy in this room proves it. Even early in the morning, and I have teenage kids at home, you are awake and ready to hear from leaders in the spirit of professional growth. Not everyone would be willing to do that on a Saturday morning, but you have the drive to improve your life and the world around you. You have the motivation to change the face of STEM in America. For that, I couldn't be more proud of the Consumers Energy employees that are here today, and I congratulate every woman who has been or will be recognized this weekend. It's a beautiful time to visit Michigan, and I hope you've all been able to do a little bit of that and see what Detroit has to offer. It's a great city, and we're lucky to call it home for the weekend. Now, let's get on with the program and enjoy our impressive panelists. Thank you again. Please enjoy the rest of this morning's presentation.
Now let's meet our illustrious MC. Dr. Pamela McCauley is an internationally recognized engineering researcher in the development of mathematical models, human engineering, and engineering leadership. As an award-winning educator, Dr. McCauley is on a mission to empower students and professionals to successfully pursue STEM educational and career goals. Dr. McCauley has authored more than 100 technical publications. She serves as a professor and director of the Ergonomics Laboratory at the University of Central Florida and previously held the position of Martin Luther King Jr. Visiting Associate Professor of Aeronautics and Astronautics at MIT. In January, she was selected as a program director for the National Science Foundation's I-Corps program. Please welcome to the stage, Dr. Pamela McCauley.
Good morning. It's so wonderful to see you at this bright and early morning, and my bifocals don't work with this. So it's, again, good morning. I love the breakfast on Saturday morning because the real troopers come out. So good morning and welcome to our celebration of the power of women. It is our time for respect and recognition. Now, ladies, our power is indelible, especially here at the Women of Color STEM Conference. Just in our sheer numbers at the seminars and the networking events, in our opportunities to share our challenges and successes with our colleagues in sisterhood, in the countless moments down every hall, around every corner to mentor and to be mentored, and in our ability to candidly share our challenges and successes with one another. This place is like no other. And at our award events, like this morning's Women of Color breakfast with leaders and legends, when we celebrate our major accomplishments in STEM and are inspired by the leaders and the legends that we so admire. Now, speaking of STEM, let's do a little math. Now, we all like math here. Nearly half of the U.S. workforce and half of the college-educated workforce are, in fact, women. So that's a big number. And with that big number, it stands to reason that women will continue to help to grow our companies and our economy, especially because women with different cultural backgrounds bring unique experiences and fresh new perspectives. Yet, unfortunately, women make up less than 1/4 of the STEM workforce, and I'm sure many of you are familiar with these numbers. But let's just say, if you haven't been hiring as many amazing, talented women as you should, and in as many colors as we come in, you've got some growing to do. It is our time, and especially because we know female engineers and innovators and others in STEM are the brains behind so many exciting advancements. And you'll hear of that this morning and again this evening. Or perhaps because, and not to globalize, but perhaps because women are capable of giving and producing life, in many cases, we tend to be natural-born healers and caretakers. But ladies, before we heal the world, as we so often do, what do we have to do? We have to heal ourselves, replenish ourselves, and above all, we must stand for what is right. Now, the National Academies of Engineering, Science, and Medicine have a study that was released in June that urges our professional societies, of which many of us are members, to use their influence to address sexual harassment in the scientific, medical, and engineering communities that they represent, and also to help promote cultures of civility and respect. Lord knows we need that. And the Me Too movement has ignited a defense of women's right to be treated with dignity. So riding on that wave, on the political front, not to get political, but it is a part of what we must address. But looking at the political front, in 2018, more women than ever are running and winning races. In primary after primary, this has proven to be the year of the woman. Women candidates, including women of color, have been responsible for some of the year's biggest upsets and are questioning establishment politics. So no matter what side you're on, this is an exciting time for doing what's right and to see women moving into power. So ladies, this morning, we celebrate us, all of us. It's our time in politics, in STEM, and in life. And so, ladies, as I said, we celebrate us, and I often say this when I'm talking. I want to say this to the men before we get started. I love you, okay? I love you. You may not feel all the love, but I do. We love you, okay? So know that, there's so much appreciation for you. But just because we're celebrating us, that in no way minimizes our appreciation, value, and love for the men who have so much supported us, and those of you who are here this morning are included. So here to tell you more is the president and chair of the CCG Alumni Association, an amazing woman. I just call her Superwoman, okay? You met her yesterday, and please welcome to the stage Dr. Gwendolyn Boyd.
Good morning. Thank you, Pamela, and you're a Superwoman as well. An esteemed CCG selection panel of senior executives chose the 10 distinguished special recognition honorees we will be recognizing today for their extraordinary achievements. Now, this panel really had their work cut out for them because this year we had more nominations from more companies across the broad spectrum of American industry than ever before. This morning, we celebrate honorees that had uphill battles in male-dominated STEM fields, and others whose mentors helped show them the way. An honoree who's a Detroit native, and another who's an immigrant, whose parents, immigrated from Lebanon. Honorees that overcame the loss of a parent at a young age, and another whose father literally bounced her on his knee while playing math games, igniting her interest in STEM. They are honorees that are here because of those that inspired them, and also in spite of those that discouraged them. Honorees whose successes are the result of their ultimate and unwavering belief in themselves. They follow in the footsteps of last year's Special Recognition Award recipients that include Melissa Bolden, who led the largest merger integration program in the history of AT&T and is seen as a leader for diversity and inclusion. Boeing Company Vice President Ursula Joy English, who leads the safety culture for Boeing's workplace, products, and aviation industry, affecting over 140,000 people in 70 countries. And Bernie Thompson, with her distinguished Army career, who oversees a budget of over $180 million that directly affects over 900 senior leaders and indirectly affects 32,000 U.S. Army Corps of Engineers employees. Yes, the power of women is undeniable in every color and in every culture. Ladies, we are amazing. Be strong and be proud. Enjoy.
Outstanding. So exciting. Thank you so much, Dr. Boyd. Now, please watch a special message from the Boeing Company.
I will be the first girl to vacation on another planet.
I will expand mankind's knowledge of the universe.
I helped design a rocket engine that took people into space.
I am responsible for the technologies that fly airplanes around the world.
I will create advancements in propulsion technology.
I will inspire the next generation of women to achieve their dreams.
I will innovate the next generation.
I'm helping bring to life the airplanes of the future.
I will change the world.
It is my pleasure to introduce the Boeing Company presenter of the morning's first award recipient. She is Vice President of the Boeing Company's Information Technology for Boeing Defense, Space, and Security. In this role, she is responsible for delivering innovative digital solutions that align with BDS business strategy. Please welcome to the stage Denise Russell Fleming.
Good morning. Nicole Fontaine Bardowell is a trailblazing executive nationally recognized for her ability to transform underperforming organizations to outstanding performance. Nicole's career has been engaging and unique in its trajectory. She has been the first African-American female in most of her positions, most notably as the first CIO of the Broward County at Dulles Area Rapid Transit. Along the way, she has received many awards and accolades, such as the Quiet Storm Award for Leadership and the CIO 100 Award for Innovation. Continuing a track record of growth and success, Nicole was recently promoted to Chief Administrative Officer at DART, where the CIO role is part of her responsibilities. I am proud to present Nicole Fontaine Bardowell.
Good morning. I am so thankful to be here and it's so appreciative to receive this award. This event brings me full circle. I grew up on Detroit's West Outer Drive, and I am a proud alumna of Our Lady of Mercy in Farmington Hills. Detroit is the city of my youth, where I segued into technology leadership. Unlike many who enter STEM through education, my path began with a liberal arts degree and a career in commercial lines insurance underwriting. Here's what I learned along the way. Be a continuous learner, own your own career, and get out of your own way. Be willing to walk different paths. Remember, relationships matter. You can do whatever you put your mind to. And finally, it's not where you start, it's where you finish. And you're going to finish on top. Thank you.
The presenter of our next award is the Systems Engineering Section Manager for the Stryker and Specialty Wheel Vehicles at General Dynamics Land Systems. His responsibilities include leading the vehicle level modeling and simulation, power analysis and design, obsolescence management, safety and human factors, among other systems engineering activities. He also provides guidance to all wheeled vehicle lead systems engineers. Please welcome to the stage Doug Prince.
Good morning. I've worked with Regina Solomon for several years at General Dynamics Land Systems. She's gained a reputation as an excellent leader with a broad scope of technical knowledge. Regina has flourished as both a component engineer in our firepower group and as a lead systems engineer on full vehicle development programs where she expertly provides organizational, technical, and overarching guidance for all systems engineering activities. As her manager, the best thing I can say about her is I never have to worry about her projects. I'm very proud to present Regina Solomon.
Good morning. My parents were immigrants from Lebanon. My dad owned a small tailoring shop, and he always stressed that I should get a good education and have a career. In school, I excelled in math and science. When my high school counselor had me take a career choice assessment, the results came back for engineer. At the time, engineering was not a common career for women, but I accepted the challenge. 22 years later, I am grateful to receive this prestigious award. I thank God for all the opportunities and the people who helped me make this possible. Thank you.
Now, it is my pleasure to present the recipient of our next award. Mimi Nguyen has been influential in the development of FCA's powertrain market requirements and strategic target setting processes. With her strong leadership, analytical, and technical skills, global powertrain lineups and plans that balance customers' needs with market trends, regulations, and corporate objectives are created for FCA's all new and renewed vehicles. Mimi's energy and drive to deliver have also shaped FCA's global powertrain portfolio. Under her leadership, 2 strategy papers were produced that resulted in the development of new engine and electrification technologies that the world will soon get to see and experience for itself. I am proud to present this award to Mimi Nguyen.
Good morning. Growing up, I learned ballet and collected Barbies, girl things. I also built circuits and competed in Science Olympiad, not so typical girl things. I'm here today because of my family and teachers' encouragement to embrace all that the world has to offer, including a career in STEM. To quote the late Mr. Sergio Marchionne, the true value of a leader is not measured by what you accomplish today, but the legacy that you'll leave behind. As long as we continue to promote STEM educations and careers, it won't be long until STEM is no longer a boy or a girl thing. It'll just be. Thank you.
Now for our next award recipient, Laura Jones is a trailblazer who readily accepted the challenge of establishing first ever roles and launching new capabilities in organizations across multiple industries. She has executed strategic change for organizations, including the Pentagon, the Departments of Treasury, Army, and Homeland Security. She has also served in publicly traded organizations, most recently Floor & Decor Outlets of America, a first-year publicly traded company. Known for leaving an indelible mark on organizations by achieving intended results, she believes that continuous learning, collaboration, innovation, agility, and giving back are key at work and home. I'm proud to present Laura Jones.
Good morning. My warmest childhood memories are centered around the consistent, believable encouragement that my parents gave me across multiple areas of my life. They helped me to clearly understand that when I removed distractions and remained focused on what is important, I was clearing the path for good things to follow. I learned to embrace that philosophy as a personal core value and professional work ethic. So it was a natural career choice to select a field that helps organizations reduce negative risk factors in order to stay focused on their strategic goals and achieve success. Thank you for recognizing my efforts.
Well, Mimi, Laura, and I got the black and white memo. So, anyway, the presenter of our next award is Vice President of Quicken Loans, Family of Companies, Diversity and Inclusion. Passionate about people and driven to create a work environment where team members are comfortable being themselves, she develops a strategy and infrastructure that fosters a culture of inclusivity and diverse perspectives. Please welcome to the stage Trina Scott.
Good morning. Yogita Krishnamurthy's career trajectory over the last 13 years has been nothing short of extraordinary. It's impressive to look at Yogita's professional gains at Amrock, one of our family of companies, in the context to her journey and how she got to this point. From a team member who did not know much about technology to now a director of IT platforms and technology at Amrock, she has continuously led her team to success and new initiatives while always giving 110%. Yogita's put the needs of the team ahead of her own and continues to be an example of what sheer determination, hard work, and passion can achieve. I am proud to present Yogita Krishnamurthy with this honor.
Good morning. Breaking into a male-dominated field was not easy, but I'm passionate about the technology and opportunity to grow in such a rapidly changing industry. I learned how to be a mentor, and I'm so proud to see other team members evolve in their respective roles. I continue to use my experience to show my daughters to never give up and fight for their dreams. I owe a large part of my success to the unwavering support and the encouragement of my husband. My advice to other women is this: use your obstacle as stepping stone to move forward. The future is in your hands, and it's up to you to take hold of it. Thank you.
Our next award presenter is the Senior Associate Director for Diversity and Inclusion at AT&T Incorporated and the CEO Emeritus of the Women of AT&T National Organization. Her impressive career spans over 2 decades with expertise in human resources, engineering, technology engagement, sales support, leadership, sales management, and conflict transformation. She has spearheaded exceptional growth, exceeding sales quotas of over $200 million, building successful and winning teams, and creating and supporting strategic alliances. Please welcome to the stage Teresa Sprawling.
Good morning. As an accomplished systems engineer and leader at AT&T, Jackie Mason has managed many of the company's most critical and highly visible projects over her stellar 36-year career. She's received numerous awards during that time, including AT&T's prestigious Technology Development President's Award in 2017. Jackie's strategic forward thinking has ensured that all projects under her direction have been delivered on schedule, to specification, and within budget. The words, "Give it to Jackie," have become synonymous with done right the first time, every time. I am thrilled now to present to you Jackie Mason.
Good morning. When I was 2, Dad would bounce me on his knee and say, "Scooby-Dooby, what's 1 and 1?" And I'd say, 2. He'd always tell this story about our playing the doubling numbers game every day when I was young. We'd go into the thousands. Although my parents divorced when I was 10, I always had a love for math because of those early days with Dad. In college, I majored in math and minored in computer science. I thank God for Dad's passion for reading and learning and for Mom's perseverance, diligence, and compassion for others. Those qualities have brought me here. Thank you for recognizing them and me. Thank you.
I loved Scooby too, okay? The presenter of our next award is Vice President of the Programmable Solutions Group and General Manager of Ecosystems Development and Operation for Intel Corporation. Previously, she was Director of Desktop Partner Marketing and Engagement in the Desktop Client Platforms Group. Please welcome to the stage Lakeisha Gunter.
Good morning. It is a great privilege for me to introduce Mahati Chowdhury. This award celebrates and recognizes women that actively promote diversity in their organization. And Mahati is a role model for this and much more. The best way to introduce Mahati is with a quote from her nominator. She walks the talk. Role models very passionately diversity and inclusion at Intel's Programmable Solutions Group business unit. And her leadership in this area has made some of the most significant contributions to the progress of diversity and inclusion in our organization. I am proud to present Mahati Chowdhury.
One of my biggest inspirations was my high school teacher, Sister Mary Lobo. In her eyes, it didn't matter whether you were a kid from a slum or a castle. She was equally vested in lifting up every one of us. She spent after-school time cleaning up our neighborhoods, providing meals and clothes, and educating those who couldn't attend school. I wanted to be just like her, and I thought I had to become a nun first. She showed me I could be anything I wanted if I got my education first. Each of us must lift up others, especially if it was done for us. That's how dreams are made.
The presenter of our next award is Senior Manager in Engineering and Chief Process Engineer for Raytheon Company. Please welcome to the stage, Wanda Grant.
Good morning. I have known Dawn Treese as a beacon of engineering excellence for 20 of her 30-plus years in the defense industry. An outstanding leader, she shapes and motivates highly talented team of more than 110 engineers that use industry-dominating technologies for innovation, development, production, and sustainment of electro-optical products. Dawn is a strategic partner who drives winning results and robust solutions in collaborative environments of mutual respect, inclusiveness, and appreciation. I am so proud to present to you Dawn Treese.
When I left home for college, encouraged by my cheerleader mom, who was battling breast cancer, I thought hard decisions were behind me for at least 4 years. Not so. 2 weeks into my first semester, my dad called me to return home because my mother's condition severely worsened. None of us fully understood this life-ending disease, yet my gracious father allowed me the guiltless decision to return to school, leaving my father and male siblings to raise my young sister. My hardest decision and unwavering determination proved most beneficial for self and family. I am an accomplished, inspirational engineer. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to present our next award. Let's welcome back to the stage from CMS Energy, Mr. Brian Ridge.
Terry Van Sumeren has dedicated her career to delivering groundbreaking results for Consumers Energy's 6.7 million customers. Recognized as one of the company's most committed and passionate leaders, Terry manages the company's clean energy products, including energy efficiency, demand response, and renewable energy programs. In 2017, her team successfully launched a groundbreaking tariff to help business customers match 100% of their energy use with renewable resources. And under her leadership, the energy efficiency team received the Energy Star Sustained Excellence Award 2 years in a row. Thanks to Terry, Michigan's energy future is bright. I'm proud to present Terry Van Sumeren.
Good morning. I am so proud and blessed to be here this morning. Growing up, I wanted to be a scientist. Developing concoctions using my mother's makeup was so exciting. The possibilities seemed endless. As the oldest of 5 children, I was brought up to believe I could accomplish whatever I set my mind to. Working at my grandparents' grocery store as a teenager, I learned the value of hard work, customer service, business ownership, and following one's passion. These life lessons helped shape my work ethic and ultimately helped me find my passion. Today, I feel so blessed to lead a team of talented individuals delivering programs which help our customers save energy, save money, and save the planet. In closing, my advice to you, follow your passion. Thank you.
The presenter of our next award is Commander of the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, Louisville District, Great Lakes, and Ohio River Division. She commands one of the most diverse of the 43 U.S. Army Corps of Engineers districts providing engineering and construction services to the nation. Please welcome to the stage Colonel Antoinette Gant.
Good morning. Onyi Oederagu is known for her integrity, natural collaborative leadership skills, diligent in executing on projects in sustainable fashion, and her commitment to and respect for operators and all the people with which she works. She works with Owens Corning for the past 3 years, and in this short time has earned the respect of her peers as well as leadership inside and outside the plant. In Onyi's short time at Owens Corning's Star Fiberglass plant, the plant has already witnessed a measurable reduction in machine downtime and an improvement in operator knowledge and engagement, all critical to the success of the plant. I'm proud to present Onyi Oederagu.
First, I'd like to start by thanking the committee for selecting me for this award and for Owens Corning for nominating me. It's a huge honor. I started my professional career as an admittedly awkward and nervous engineer in the manufacturing leadership program at Owens Corning. My projects and roles as a shift supervisor, manufacturing engineer, and great mentorship rid me of these characteristics and prepared me for becoming a process engineer in our Star, South Carolina fiberglass plant. My work here has been the most challenging and rewarding of my career. I've learned and accomplished so much in so little time. So though the Onyi of the past never knew the Onyi of the present, because of my personal experiences, I value mentoring young people and showing them how I've grown and how bright their future can be no matter where they come from. Thank you.
Did you hear? The Women of Color STEM Conference is going green with a new Women of Color mobile app. Stay up to date on all the conference events. To get the app, follow these easy steps. 1. Go to the Apple Store or Google Play Store. 2. Type Career Communications Group into the search bar. 3. Select the CCG STEM icon and press Install. The download process will begin. 4. Open the app and select Women of Color app, then press Load. Bam! You are now plugged into the schedule and happenings of the Women of Color experience.
Well, hello again. Can you hear me? Okay. Well, it is time to get real. And this is one of my favorite parts of being here. And I'm sorry, I don't want y'all to have to look beyond the podium, but we'll fix that momentarily. But what happens when women lead, when women have a seat at the table? We know that things become very different. Major milestones are met, women prove their net worth again and again. And this morning, we have assembled what we're calling a power panel. And these are some fantastic women that you're about to meet, and some you've already met. And so I'm thrilled to have them here for us to be real. We have mics out here in the audience, so we're doing, this is a real zone, okay? And we are going to talk about a few things that are real to us, things that we've experienced, and in hopes that it will encourage, inspire, and motivate you, many of you here. And I also want you to take the opportunity to talk to us. So I say this is a nice personal conversation between me and 300 friends, okay? So we're going to welcome our panelists now. So if you would, our introduce our panelists. Thank you.
From Lockheed Martin Corporation, Deputy Executive Vice President of Rotary and Mission Systems, and 2014 Black Engineer of the Year, Stephanie C. Hill. From Ford Motor Company, Global Diversity and Inclusion Manager of the Global Talent Management Group, Claudia Arana Sanchez. From the Boeing Company, Vice President of Engineering Modification and Maintenance for Boeing Global Services, Joan Robinson Berry. And from Oakland University, Associate Dean of Engineering and Professor, Dr. Beth Zhao.
Thank you. I told you they were fabulous. Fabulous, fabulous. Now, we're going to jump right into this. I have asked each of these wonderful ladies to take about 3 or 4 minutes, and you know our theme is the power of women. And without sounding, as Stephanie says, we want to be self-aggrandizement, because they are powerful, but they're also women of great humility and just, I mean, truly the best. We're so fortunate to have these ladies. So I've asked them to share 3 or 4 minutes about their experience to achieve what they have thus far as outstanding women in STEM. So we'll start with Stephanie.
Thank you, Pamela. And I'm so glad to see the room is full now, and this is early on a Saturday morning, so I'm so excited to see all of you. So just a little bit about me. I am a happily married woman of 25 years to the same man. Give me a woo-hoo for that. And I'll tell you, I'm madly in love with him, and I think, at least he tells me, he's madly in love with me still. So this is awesome. I have 3 amazing children that are loving and smart and hardworking, and I'm just so grateful. I started my career over 30 years ago at Lockheed Martin as a software engineer, writing code, lots of code, in the basement of the original Glenn L. Martin headquarters. Wow. And I can tell you, when I started at that time, 30 years ago, in fact, software engineering was not at that time something that a lot of people knew about. My parents, my father thought when I told him I was going to be an engineer, I was going to work on a train. He didn't know what this was. And he was a judge. And my father, was very well educated, but they just didn't know that. Right. And I will tell you, when I started all those years ago, I had no idea I would have had the opportunity to work on so many amazing things that I've had to work on. I've worked on systems, some of you who, the students won't know this, but I'll give you a homework assignment to go and research it on the internet. In 2008, many of us remember that rogue satellite that was falling from the sky, and there was a concern that, do you all remember that? Hadnot's fuel tank was going to come down and blow the world up. Do you all remember that? Okay. Well, I wrote code for the launcher that shot that satellite out of the sky and saved us all. Go, Steph. Go, Steph. And then I had the privilege to work on a system a number of years ago during the war in Afghanistan, during the surge. And it was a system called PTIDS, the Persistent Threat Detection System. And PTIDS was a counter-IED device, counter-improvised explosive device. And our colonel, it was an Army program, and our colonel would bring us back video of PTIDS. It was a blimp. It was a blimp with surveillance equipment hanging on it. And it would fly about 5,000 feet in the sky, and it would see when the insurgents were planting IEDs in the road. And this system the operators were working it, and they would reroute soldiers so that day, because PTID saw these IEDs, soldiers lived. The mothers in Afghanistan called PTIDs the angel in the sky, and they wouldn't let their children go outside and play if PTIDs wasn't flying. When I think about just the amazing things and the opportunities I've had to work on systems that truly save people's lives every day, I'm grateful. And I'm also clear for the young people that are here that if I had not decided to become an engineer, that would not be true for me. But the other thing that would not have been true is if I hadn't been early in my career dedicated to developing a strong track record. And that started even before my career. That started with my daddy. So my father was a judge. My boyfriends called him Hanging Judge Cole. And he was a really strong man. I was a really good student in school. I mean, I was an A student in school, and I would come home with a 95, and I was all, yeah, you know. And Mommy would say, "Oh, baby, I'm so proud of you." And Daddy would say, "Where are the other 5 points?" And he was serious. This was not a joke for Daddy. And I would get a 98. What's the question? Where are the other 2 points? And growing up, that didn't feel good. And I thought Daddy wanted me to be perfect. What I realized as an adult, and I'm glad I realized it before he died because I was able to thank him. What I realized as an adult is that he wasn't wanting me to be perfect, Pamela. He was wanting me to know that if you don't have to leave 5 points on the table, why should you? And that if you settle for leaving 5 points on the table when you don't have to, you will never discover what you're truly capable of. So I say to the young people out there, when I think about how grateful I am to have been in this position, to have so many of the experiences that I've had, going to 5 of the 7 continents, and I could go on and on about how blessed I really believe that I am.
Praise God.
But I will tell you this, if you don't reach for further than you can see, you won't get as far as you are capable of going.
Man, well said. Thank you, Stephanie.
That's really hard to follow.
Okay.
So my name is Claudia Arana, and I'm the Global Diversity Manager for Ford Motor Company. So I have a typical immigrant story where I came here without speaking English 13, 14 years ago. I'm sorry, a little bit more than that. I like to think that I'm younger than what I am, but it's probably like 18 years
Who's
ago.
counting?
And so I came here because my dad never wanted me to be an engineer. And that's because in our culture, and a while back, engineering, it's basically building roads, and as you drive through the roads, you see mostly men, right? And he probably didn't want me to be there. But I love those machines, and I wanted to do that. And so he told me he will not give me a car if I didn't do what he wanted to, because I was his favorite. I was the one who got everything. So when he told me that, it really hurt me. But I knew that if I went for the car, I wouldn't really be happy for the rest of my life. So I left Guatemala, and I came to the U.S.
Wow.
Because he didn't let me do what I wanted.
Very
I
mature.
thought I can do it. Yep.
Yes.
And so when I came here, it was hard, right? Because I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have any money. I didn't even have a job, right? And so I started going to school to learn English. And believe me, I have done jobs, that I have actually worked at a laundry, doing clothes for somebody else.
Yes.
And while the clothes was washing, I was studying because I knew what I wanted. And so graduated from the University of Illinois with a full scholarship because I didn't have the money. And then I got a National Science Foundation fellowship to actually do my master's degree. Wow. And I wanted to do something big. So I was thinking nanotechnology, nanofibers, like that's the future, right? And so that took me to Italy, where I spent a semester at the Politecnico di Milano studying nanofibers. And in fact, I was the one teaching Italians without really speaking the language how to do it. And so, by the way, I am fluent in Italian because I had to learn it to communicate. And so I came back, got offered 3 jobs. One of those was Caterpillar. And so that was my dream job, right? Like I wanted to go into one of those machines. But then I decided, no, you actually change, you evolve, right?
Yes.
And that's okay. And so I decided I wanted to be an environmental engineer. And I was pregnant at the time when they gave me the offer, but I didn't tell them. I said, I'll wait until they give me the offer, and then I'll tell them they're actually hiring too. And so it was great. The company has been fantastic to me. But I did start it as an environmental engineer. I've been in assembly. I've been in powertrain. I've been in stamping. And now I'm in diversity. So I guess one of the things that I will say is think big. Don't limit yourself to what others tell you that you can do. Because you can do so much more than that, to your point, right? And take risks. Because if you don't, and you always stay within your comfort zone, then there is no growth. And I think women do best when they're challenged.
Amen. Outstanding. Outstanding. Thank you.
They gave me one, too.
I know.
Good morning, women of color. How are you doing?
Great.
All right. How many of you guys in aerospace say, raise your hand? Look at this room, because both Stephanie and I come from the most amazing industry on the planet. And I have to say that it has served us well. And we work in aerospace because the world depends on aerospace to protect and connect us. And if there's a challenge for protection or connecting, they call Lockheed, Boeing, and all the aerospace companies in the world, and we've had an amazing opportunity. I come from California, and from very humble beginning, a lot of tragedy, lost my brother, my father was killed, and I determined that I would change my family's life by getting into a field that would provide for them. Wow. And one thing that I had to think about is, what field could you make the greatest contribution, not to grow yourself, but to leave something special on this earth? If it's technology, if it's changing people's lives for the better, I wanted to be part of that field. And that was the Boeing Company. That was aerospace, right, Stephanie? And even though we weren't around during the Hidden Figures time, it felt like the Hidden Figures, because when I graduated from engineering, they didn't even have a girls' restroom. And so you remember the Hidden Figures,
yes.
where you had to run to the
third
business
floor.
building and to the third floor.
Right.
Third floor,
Because we
right,
didn't
right?
have a women's restroom either.
Didn't
Yeah.
have one, so we were back during that time, all of us in that
Right.
space. But I have to say, it's probably the best choice in my life, because can you imagine, just like she shared, where you're hanging out with astronauts, and I had a chance to work on the International Space Station and also the space shuttles early in my career, and you're thinking about, wow, you're as close as any human can be to a major technology marvel, and you're hearing the countdown, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, blast off. And the back of your hair is up behind your neck because you can feel the vibration of the engine, and you're saying, wow, this is a day I might even write a check to the company, because it's like Disneyland. We don't make refrigerators. We are changing lives and connecting it. And then I had a chance to watch and develop some of the most advanced airplanes on the planet. And then I said, this is amazing. Could there be any more? They said, yeah, we want you to take a tour in the 007 world, where you get a chance to really understand how we in aerospace are really protecting this world with things we can't talk about, right, Stephanie? But then it came all back, and I got a chance to run the factory for the 787, the Dreamliner, the most advanced airplane on this planet, being the #1 aerospace company in the world, and to have this plane introduced around the world. And just like Stephanie, to be able to go to these places around the world, we've been everywhere. We've had all these experiences because technology is a ticket. We're about technology, we have been, and we always will be. And we can say that we're bartering our lives to make a difference. And that's why engineering is so important. And today, my job is probably the best in the company. And I know that Keith Cooper's out there probably saying, well, no, his job is best because we work together as partners. But I have to say that now I have engineering, I have maintenance and mods, and I can look at all the 400+ products at the Boeing Company and have my fingerprints on them, and that is truly a blessing. And what I have learned in this journey was not to give, again, obstacles any power, and to work on really hard things. Soft jobs are not going to get you to the C-suite. You got to be able to read
Man, you better say it.
the financial plans, understand Wall Street, understand the technology, and be able to have a conversation. Because we are in a male-dominant field, and they expect you to have strong financial and technical knowledge. But more importantly, I want to make it this very crystal clear. You know you're the CEO of your career, but if you don't have a strong board of directors, like my Jenna Lovett, or my Marlene Price, and other folks, and Stephanie, and Pamela, it's going to be hard to maintain who you are and what you need to be, because there's going to be days, and we know those days.
Lord, we do.
You know those days,
Oh,
Steph?
yes.
Yes, I do.
You know those days, Beth, where you need someone to call you, because sometimes having the best emotional resilience is not going to be good enough. So I call Jesus and my board of directors.
Amen. And sometimes, amen, but sometimes you can't say that stuff to Jesus, okay? So you need a human. Yeah, we'll get with Jesus in a minute. All right,
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. I'm so honored to be here this morning with you. My name is Beth Doe. I'm currently the Associate Dean of School of Engineering and Computer Science at Oakland University in Michigan, not California.
Yay. Oakland, you can show us some love. Yes.
What I have to say is that actually my journey to my current position is much longer than most of you, because I crossed the Pacific Ocean to be here.
And we're so glad you did that.
Yes, we
Thank
are.
you. My life actually can be divided, or career can be divided in 3 main stages. The first stage is my career back in China. I'm from China. Actually, I got all my degrees, bachelor, master, and PhD degree in Tsinghua University in China. It was called like MIT in China, and we don't have many female students there. So some of the classes, we normally have classes of 30 in each class, and sometimes we have 1, 2 girls there, sometimes we have none. So I feel it is very important, actually, for the female student to be supported, to be mentored while they are staying in a STEM field, because this is pretty much men predominate. Right? So after I got my degrees and I joined the faculty of Tsinghua University, I actually worked in a national research lab there, doing my research. So I thought, my life is stable now, because I have a good job, I have good education. Actually, I got married and I had my first son there. But you never know, life will bring you different adventure. And in 2001, I was invited to Oakland University as a visiting professor, because at that time, the department chair in mechanical engineering, and he went to China to visit our lab. And then he mentioned about there's opportunity of being here to be visiting professor. So he actually interviewed quite a few of my colleagues there, and he chose me. I was surprised because I'm not the strongest candidate, in terms of research, etc. So later on, I did ask him, so why did you choose me? And he said, because you speak good you speak good English. So that's the reason I'm here.
So that made you a very strong candidate. Yes.
So after joining Oakland, later on I become assistant professor, a tenure track position, and I started my career, like a normal professor, doing teaching, research, service, etc. So then I did accomplish a lot during this journey. I published more than 90 papers and then get a lot of awards, and also graduate many PhD students. And I also serve the community professionally. For example, I'm the fellow of STLE because of my technical contribution. And I was promoted later to the associate professor, and then later to the full professor.
Wow.
So that was happened in 2014.
Yes.
Thank you.
It's outstanding.
Then I thought, oh, I'm done. because no more promotions ahead of me. So I should just relax a little bit and start to enjoy life a little bit. Actually, I did have my second son, after I came to United States. So my two sons, actually, they are 12 years apart. Alex, my elder son, he is the senior in college, so he's graduating next year. And my second son, he is a senior in elementary school. Yeah. So that is my mode back in 2014. I can see my life ahead of me, just like a professor, and going there until I retire, right? So then there's another opportunity came, that is 2014. The previous associate dean left the university and get another position in another university. So then actually our dean came to me saying that, are you willing to serve in an associate dean position? And my first reaction is, oh, no. And then, because I never thought about it, I never picture myself in a administration position. And I don't have a plan, to go into that direction. So it was a surprise to me. But then later on, I have several senior colleagues, and they actually encouraged me, and they talked to me. They kind of describe, saying that you are capable to be in this position. You had a lot of experience, not only in teaching research, but you served in a lot of committees.
God bless
and
you.
Yeah, and you are familiar with the university, and you have very good relationship with all your colleagues, and you have your networking here. So why not just have a try? So then I took their suggestions, and I say, well, let me have a try. What would I lose if I cannot, fit in? I just go back to my happy life as a faculty, right? So I'm glad I took this opportunity. So over the last 4 years, I did see the value of the leadership, the value of as an administrator. I may not do a lot teaching, research, produce papers, publish, but I help other people to achieve their goal. And this is today we're talking about power of women. I think the power means you have the capability of help, support other people, and to help them to be successful.
That is outstanding, outstanding. And I think, yeah, absolutely. I think we're hearing some common themes. I mean, hard work, obviously, but being willing to make those difficult choices and really believing, also having people around you that are sowing positive things into your life. I'd like to talk a little bit about that, because we've obviously drank the Kool-Aid. We love what we do. We're excited about being engineers. But I want to talk just a little bit. So if someone is struggling, a woman's struggling right now to demonstrate her power, or if she doesn't see that path the way that you illustrious women have to achieve, or she doesn't have that board of directors, Joan, that you described, what are some of the things that you can do to demonstrate your power if you're in that situation? I'll ask you, Steph.
Yeah, so I think that being present, communicating with positive impact is really important. I mean, I can tell you that I have the fortune of mentoring a lot of people. And one of the most common questions that I get from my mentees, or is the statement and then a question, is, I work longer and harder than everybody around me, and yet they're the ones getting the promotions, and I'm not. And what I've asked people to do is to step back, and in that moment, in particular for women and people of color, I've found this true. I say, have you shared what your ambition is? Have you shared what your goal is? And what I get back a lot is, well, my manager has to know I'd be interested in doing that. They know how hard I'm working.
You better say something.
You better say something.
Thank you.
have to make your intent very clear.
But don't you find that's difficult for women in many cases?
It is absolutely difficult for women. And I can tell you, with Johnny might step out with the boss and say, you know something, I just did this great project. It was so exciting. I thank you for the opportunity.
Yes.
And you know something, when something else comes available, I hope you consider me.
Yes.
They're not bragging. They're not being self-aggrandizing. They're just sharing their accomplishments, and they're sharing what they want to do, where Susan has her head down, getting it done perfectly every time, and gets a good performance review every time. And her manager thinks that she is just content with what she's doing. And this is the other thing I found is even when you decide, and you have to decide to communicate, and you should never be braggadocious about what you're doing. I don't think. I think you should share. So while you shouldn't be braggadocious, in order for there to be meritocracies, people have to know what your merits are. So you have to find a way to constructively communicate what you've done. And what I have found is it's important to reevaluate how you do that with each leader you have, and with each organization you have. And if you can share what you have done in support of the organization consistent with that organization's values and that leader's values, because if you talk about all the stuff you've done and you're not in touch with your leader and you don't know what they care about most, they still might not get it. So you have to take the time to listen to, what does my leader value? What does the organization value? And how is what I'm doing, not just what you're doing, but how is what I'm doing having an impact in the organization? Don't go through the laundry list of, I did A, B, C, I delivered these 5 reports on time, and talk about why it mattered. Communicate with positive impact.
That's so powerful. And because we are so afraid often as women to be seen as bragging or we're over the top about us. So that's really important. Have you ladies had other opportunities where you have to do that?
I was gonna say it's also important to be authentic.
Be
authentic. And that's, we always try to be someone else, like we always try to be like the male that's in power when we bring our own strengths,
Absolutely.
right? And so to me, it is power focused. You want to be what God made you to be, basically, right? With all those unique characteristics that make you who you are, and bring those to the table. And so, when I think about power, right, I think about the power within me, which is my personality. It's everything that I am. And so I can make a choice of either being powerless or being powerful, right? And I always go for the second one.
Well, I love that. Go ahead, Joan.
Well, I think it's also about finding advocates. I mean, it's one thing to self-brand, but when you find folks that have credibility and are the knowledge brokers in your organization, and you try to clearly have them tell your story, I think that's a good brand.
What are some of the best ways to do that, Joan?
So here's an example. I try to start advocating for my replacement day one. Because if you find your replacement, they won't think you're a single point failure in your job. And you should be advocating for women of color. Right, Dolores Alexander?
Okay, it's okay.
Because she is a powerful, and she's probably somewhere in this room. You need to find someone to say, you know who would be a perfect replacement for me? So they said, well, Joan, we can't have you leave right now. Who would replace you? There's your cue. Well, do you know so-and-so? And here's what she can do for the organization. She already has a vision, and here's what she's doing. We need to start advocating for one another as soon as we get that next promotion of who our replacement is supposed to be, or you're going to be stuck in that job for a while.
Right. And I mean, that's so powerful, and I'm loving this, and we really do need to be there to support each other. And here you're a woman of color, so you feel the love. I mean, the support. We're walking down the halls, hugging each other and loving on each other. But some of us are going back to organizations where there are very few women, and particularly women of color. So what would we say to those women who are going back and feeling isolated?
I will say, and somebody mentioned it too, is not where you start, but it's where you are going, and so always remember that, because there's going to be so many times within your life where you're going to feel as if you don't belong, right? As if, it's going to be tough.
So what do you do at those moments, Claudia, though? Because I think we've had those moments where you feel you don't belong. And rather than quitting, because women are leaving STEM fields at record rates. So what can we say to someone who might be thinking about that today?
I will say stay strong, right?
Okay.
Put your feet down and then just concentrate on where you want to get.
Okay.
So that's what I was saying. So, as I was telling you my story, I mentioned, well, I don't want to go and work in McDonald's. And it's not because I don't think McDonald's is a great company. I think they're awesome, right?
I like their fries.
I know, me too.
I don't want to work there.
It's a fantastic
But it's okay if you own
company.
one.
Right, you can own one, exactly. Oh, we like McDonald's.
But I knew where I wanted to go, right?
Right.
Like I knew what my career path was. And so every step that I took, I made sure that it was going to take me there.
Well,
and
what
it
your
was going to be
strength?
uncomfortable.
What was your strength? I mean, it's so powerful that you came from Guatemala and you made these choices, you worked so hard. What was your strength?
Well, so first of all, I'm a very focused person, right?
Okay.
It's like I know where I wanted to go, and so I'll do what it takes to get there.
Okay.
I practice determination, and I said I practice because that's something you have to learn how to do, right? Like
Right.
sometimes you may stumble, but then you have to stand up and say, nope, this is not going to stop me from where I want to get.
Okay.
And I feel too like sometimes we build our own barriers, right?
Well, did you hear that? We build our own barriers.
We do.
So we can take them down.
Exactly. And so, and someone else said that too. I think it was you, Beth. Build your own supporting group, right? It doesn't have to be a senior manager. It doesn't have to be an engineer. It doesn't even have to be a female. But those that will help you in those times when
Okay.
you feel isolated. So, when I went to Italy, I was by myself. When I came to the US, I was by myself, right? And so having that determination and not letting that feeling create fear on you so
Right.
that you cannot accomplish what you can. Because I truly believe that anything that you believe, you can do.
Amen.
Can I add
Go ahead.
one thing
Sure,
to that? Because
sure,
I think
Steph.
your story is so impressive. And I think that there are so many people out there who, as you said, Pamela, are going to go back and they're not going to have
Right.
a network of people to talk with.
Right.
And I would say that's what these kinds of conferences are about. It's
Amen.
about building your network while
It
you're
is.
here.
Yes.
Get to know somebody, right?
Yes, thank you, Steph.
Because I'll tell you that there have been times, and I have known Pamela for almost 30 years, and there have been times when I might not have had somebody inside of the company. I'm fortunate at the company, I'm sure just like it is for you, Joan, and Boeing. Lockheed Martin and Boeing are fortunate to have women's groups. We have a Women's Impact Network, and we've got all kinds of people we can reach out to, and not all of it's like that. Build your network. Early in my
Absolutely.
career, I needed a screen partner. Because
that's right.
when things weren't going the way I wanted them to go or the way that they should have gone, I couldn't act a fool out in the cubicles, right? But I had the need, I had the yearning to act a fool. So I needed to do it behind closed doors with somebody that I trusted, and I was able to do
Absolutely.
that. So find those people, and if they're not in your company, they might be in this room.
Yes. Yeah.
Find them.
Yes.
Go to, if you don't have an ERG, an employee resource group that's a women's group, you can start one wherever you are. So
Absolutely.
take that on.
And it doesn't have to be a women's group.
Yeah.
I'm sure many of you guys have read the book Speed of Trust. There should not be an isolation mindset in your headset, even though we believe it is, because you need to figure out who's on your team, your colleagues. Find out what they like. Try it. Get to know their families. Have coffee outside the group. Invite them to dinner. You can create your own speed of trust within your team and never have to feel isolated. You only need one or two.
Right.
And try to find the knowledge broker on your team.
Yes, you do.
And a thought partner that you can bounce ideas off of. Because isolation is in our head. We can create that speed of trust within our team. And it doesn't always have to be, as I said earlier,
Right.
for another woman. It could
And
be from that, because most of our promotions, let's be open and honest, came from who?
And I was just
Men.
going
White
to add
males.
something.
Yeah.
I was going to add something too. If you are in a position of power, reach out to those who are not.
Right.
You know, because it's always
Did you-
about us. Oh, go and reach out. But
Yes.
if you are already there, help others come along. Because to
Absolutely.
me, that's one of the biggest responsibilities we have, being sitting in this chair.
One, I would like to add one more item is that sometimes you have to step out of your comfort zone. This is a challenge for a lot of women, and we feel a lot of cases we feel isolated because we don't see a lot of other people like us, right? But if you stay in your comfort zone all the time, you will never, be able to connect to other people. And also, you should get, try to get support as much as possible. The support can be from different, sources. Can be from your colleagues, your mentor, can be your church family, and can be your husband, your partner.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it is very important to get support from everybody, not just from one source, because we live in a world, it's full of a lot of things, right? So even sometimes, I think for me, I think women, it is easier for us to talk to somebody because we like to open us, not like men. They always close themselves a little bit more. It's not offense to men, but it's a character, it's a nature. If you have a women group or lady group, and sometimes you have some hard time, you just talk to them, talk to the girls, and you release those pressure, worry, and you get comfort from them, and you become stronger again. And sometimes you have to grow a little bit thicker skin,
You do. It's not
to be in
always
this tough
personal.
world.
You better say it. It's not. You do have to have a thick skin. I want to get to some Q&A. So if you have questions, if you'll come up, we have a mic here. So if you want to come up and ask a question. And while does anybody have a question? I know somebody, come on up, sweetheart. I think it's so important what we're hearing here about having that network and those relationships, and because it's tough some days to be a superwoman. We all are happy and loving what we're doing, but then we have family issues. You remember Daddy was in the hospital and you text me, and I'm trying to solve all these problems, and I get a text and says, how's Daddy? And it's like, okay, there's somebody there praying for me and advocating for me, and having that web of support is so important. And so the isolation, I'm glad you said sometimes we create that ourselves. So we are going to tear those walls of isolation down. Yes.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Tiffany Davis with the Boeing Company. And right on topic with this conversation, we can tell that everyone in this room is obviously invested in empowering and uplifting women of color in STEM. But how do you take this conversation back to people outside this room, people that don't look like us, people that have very different values than some of the people in the room, and explain to them why is it critical to support and endorse women in STEM?
Okay, thank you, Tiffany. Since you're from the Boeing Company, we're not going to let Joan answer that question. I'm messing with you, Joan. If you
love you too, Pat.
No, jump in.
Okay, so I'll take that on. I think that most people in our workplaces collectively come to work, leaders included, and leaders especially and included, come to work every day trying to do the best job that they can do. And we don't know the things that we do that thwart an inclusive environment. People don't know. I believe I'm an inclusive leader. I work hard to be an inclusive leader, and I am confident that there are things that I do that don't feel inclusive to everybody on my team. And I don't know that unless somebody can constructively bring that to my attention. So I would say, when you go back to your workplace, find a way to constructively raise the awareness of things that make people feel like they don't want to raise their hand and say, here's my idea, because our companies want that. And I say constructively, you might not be able to go back to your boss, because your boss, where I said most people show up every day trying to do, your boss might not be one of those, or might just not be an environment where that's going to be accepted. But find an advocate, find an ally, find someone that you can talk to say, this happened to me, and it made me feel this way and uncomfortable too. People can't argue with how you feel.
That's
they
right.
if you come off attacking people about what they did to you, that's different.
Right.
That's not going to work. But if you can share this in this situation, this is how I felt, and here's how it could have been different. So I would have felt like raising my hand the next time. So
Absolutely.
Take it back.
And I think it's great you can even use this conference as a conversation starter. So I attended the Women of Color in Technology conference, and there was a discussion around inclusiveness, and sometimes I don't feel as included as I'd like to. And so that's a way to start the conversation.
And you're right, we have to have those tough conversations, right? And sometimes they're uncomfortable, but you don't want to be a bystander, you know?
Right.
You want to be the one who brings the voice and say exactly what you said, right? I'm part of the solution, you know, I'm not part of the problem, so how can I help to make others feel inclusive?
And I mean, because I can't imagine a manager who doesn't want a person on their team to feel as included and give as much as possible. So, all right, thank you, Tiffany, and we will be available afterwards. Yes.
Hi, my name is Samaria Flowers, and I'm from Renaissance High School.
Hello, Samaria.
My question is, how do you continue to push forward when you have doubt in yourself?
Wow.
Can I? Go ahead. Okay, I was going to say, we are known for doing that. And we have to get away from it because we're strong. And so I will tell you, and it was very powerful, on Friday we had the Tech Talks, and one of the questions was, how do you balance work in family? Like, I'm 22 years old and I want to have a baby. And I said, are you married? And said, no. And I said, okay, so you are quitting before you get hired, right? So you are focusing on the wrong thing right now, right? It's like, first you have to find a boyfriend. Do you have a boyfriend? No. Then
she was thinking way ahead.
You know, and we do that a lot. You know, you look at a job application and you instantly think that you don't have all the qualifications, even though you have 99% of them. So we have to stop thinking like that. We have to empower ourselves and say, I'm going to take a step on the unknown, and I'm going to pray to God, right, that He's going to be with me, and that everything that I have within me and what I have learned throughout my journey is going to help me be successful.
Absolutely.
To me, that's what we all need to do.
Yes. Got to do it anyway,
And one thing
baby.
I want to leave you also with, to build on what Beth shared earlier, in order to really make a difference, you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And when you start getting comfortable, you stop learning.
Yes.
So always just know when you're in this unknown or you're discovering a new job or a new situation, that uncomfortable feeling is okay. You're learning, you're growing, you're stepping out. So just remember that. Always take the road where it's going to make you feel a little uncomfortable.
Thank you, Jones. Perfect. Right where you need to be. Okay.
Good morning. My name is Eureka Fontenot, and my question is surrounding work-life balance. What kind of decisions have you all had to make concerning your family and getting where you are right now in your career as women?
Okay. Ladies.
Well, I've been married 35 years, and I have an amazing partner that allowed me to be where I am today. And everybody says you got to figure out how to have balance, but I think it's more like a work-family blend, where you blend those together. And if you focus on making sure you're keeping your body, your mind, and your spirit aligned, you can then serve, but you have to focus on those. For me, it's faith, family, and then the factory. And that's the order. And if they get out of balance, it's not going to be my faith or my family. So you got to keep that in perspective. But let me just tell you, our jobs are not 9 to 5.
Right. Right.
They're usually 7 days a week, and we're probably on alert 24 hours a day. And just know, if you don't want that lifestyle, don't go after the big giant jobs, because they're going to expect you to do that.
Wonderful.
I'd add, if I can add, because I had something for earlier in my career when my babies were little. I will tell you that I had been before getting married and even after getting married, I would work sometimes 18 hours a day because that's what it took to get it done, right? And then I had these babies, and I knew that I couldn't do that, didn't want to do that, and because family came first. And so what I implemented with my manager, because I had put together a strong track record to that point, I arranged early pickup days and late days. And my late days, with the support of my husband and my mother and my mother-in-law, my late days, they picked the children up when they were babies from daycare. And on my pickup days, everybody in the office knew that when 5 o'clock came, that was pickup day, and I had to leave. And I can remember one time being in the office and being so nervous. We were in a meeting, and this hot meeting, and all the people around the room, and I'm the only woman. I think and it was just stressful. And it was getting to be like 4:45, and I'm getting nervous because I'm integral to this conversation. And a gentleman who we had raised awareness a few years back was in that meeting with me, and he said, "Stephanie, isn't today a pickup day?"
Wow.
And I said, "Yes, it is." He said, "Let's finish this on the phone." And that's what we did. So you can find ways to do that integration and be there for your work and for your family.
I do the same thing, actually. But, I go in and I put Victoria's volleyball game because then they know, right? And I'm leading by example because I feel they should do the same.
You want them to do the same, sure.
But I also think you should be intentional because you may not have 100% with your kids, but when you're there, are you really with them? Or is it that you're feeling guilty because you're not home, right? So the time that you have with your kids, spend it at 100% because that's where you're building those relations. And to me, I feel it's important that they see what I do and that they know that I'm accomplished because they will want to do the same thing.
Absolutely. And I know we want to get to a couple more questions. Thank you so much. And let me just say this, too. I think it's really what we're hearing is have a plan, also be intentional and communicate. But let me just say this. We got 25 years of marriage and 35 years of marriage. I have to add a couple of marriages to even get to 20. So I'm not there, okay? But let me just be real. So pick the right partner, okay? That matters so much. Pick the right partner, or you'll be doing math like me to get to 20. All right.
Thank you all so much for your transparency, especially with that last bit. I really appreciate this open conversation and this opportunity to really share your perspective on a lot of this information. And I think that a lot of us, during discussions like this, have these moments of, oh, I'm not crazy. Oh, I'm not alone.
Amen. And that's what this is for.
And that's what this is for. And I was wondering if you all would be willing to share some of those moments where you had that realization of, oh, this isn't just me. This is a systemic issue. And now I know what I can do to fix this or work on this.
Excellent. Ladies. Well, I did, if they didn't. But you got it, Steph?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, Beth, okay.
Beth, you want to go? Okay. Okay, so I will share this. It happens often, and what I look at it is an opportunity to teach. So I can tell you, 2 years ago, I was a general manager for a significant part of Lockheed Martin's business, and I went to see my customer in San Diego, California. And I went with 2 of my white male colleagues, both junior to me, and they were flanking me, one on each side, as we were going to see the Admiral. And walk in, and the Admiral's aide comes out, and he shakes my colleague's hand with great vigor, and it was so nice to meet you. I'm right next to my colleague. He skips over me and shakes the other white gentleman's hand, and it's so nice to meet you. Well, I'm not going to be outdone, so I grab my hand and I say, it's so nice to meet you. And after it was over, after that time, I went in the meeting, because these gentlemen, these fine professionals, my colleagues, who I have tremendous respect for, were taking me, the executive, in to see the customer. Had the meeting. When I came out, I actually stepped back to say, and I said to them, did you see what happened when we were waiting for the meeting in the Admiral? And they're like, no, ma'am, we didn't. No, we didn't. What are you talking about? And I pressed them on it. And they said, we did see, and we were embarrassed for you. We felt really bad for you, and so we didn't want to share it. And I said, let this be a lesson to you that you can take back to others so that you and your colleagues never do this to anybody. Again, it didn't matter that I was the GM. I could have been anybody.
Right.
Don't skip over
Right.
me.
Absolutely.
And so those are the times when you can help somebody to just open their eyes. And while there are people are people, we live in the world, right? And the world is moving in a direction. We have to continue the journey to give voice to inclusion of everyone, irrespective of gender, ethnicity, position, or anything else. We have to treat everybody
Say it, Steph.
with
Yes, we
respect
do.
and dignity
Right.
at all times.
Yes. And so much of the bias, I mean, when they say it's unconscious bias, it's the conscious walking around being unconscious. It just doesn't make sense, something like that. And I had an experience, I'm a full professor and director of a lab, and have done a lot with leadership. Two of my colleagues started a leadership institute at the university and didn't invite me to be a part of it. They're in my department. I'm the only one with 2 books with leadership in the title. And you're gonna start a leadership institute and not invite me? So in situations like that, you do. I'm like, well, what's going on? Well, that happens a lot. And so you can't let it impact you personally because it can be very difficult. So thank you. So hopefully that helps. We'll be around to talk more.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
And while you're walking, I just wanted to add one, and I love what you did, Stephanie.
I do too. I love that.
You have, when you're in a situation where you experience, I'm going to say unconscious bias, confront it. Confront without
Amen.
offending.
Say it, Joan.
Confront without offending, but you have to confront it. And it's back to your point earlier, it's how you felt. You know, like we are blessed where we always get a chance to probably travel in first class and so forth, and we always know right when it gets to us, they said, this is for the first class line only. If you're in domestic, please move over there. And when you get up to that counter and you hear that, you say, thank you so much for letting those folks get into their other line and not calling us out. And you know subliminally, she says, okay, I was offending you. Yeah, you did offend me. And you have to confront without offending. And there's so many examples. I wish Dolores was still here. I want to give you one clear example of how she dealt with this. We were going to Russia, one of my colleagues and I, and again, we were blessed with first class. And so she put her bag down and started opening the overhead bin. And the flight attendant says, no, ma'am, you got to go back and put your bag in coach where you're sitting. And I said, okay, let me sit down because I don't know if she had a good day or not.
Oh, my Lord.
It happens. Start walking away. And so
Yes.
Dolores says, no, come here for 1 minute. I wanted to really understand this moment here. I'm in first class, but I want to understand what made you assume I wasn't. Was it my clothes? What was it in your headset that assumed that I wasn't in first class? And then everybody in first class turned around and wanted to get in. And so it was that moment that I think that she really recognized that she made a big mistake, and I guarantee that she never did that again. So again, the message
It's a teachable moment.
It's a
Yes.
teachable moment.
Yes.
Confront without offending.
Right.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I want to say, first of all, thank you for giving me a reason to wake up early today. And second, and this is my question, what books, blogs, or other resources have helped you on your journey that you would recommend that we read?
Wow, it's a good one.
Well, one that I really liked, it's called What Got You Here Will Not Get You There. You know, because as Hispanics or women of color, we work hard, and even harder. But we don't tell anyone our achievements, but our bosses are actually getting the credit for everything that we're doing, right? So that book to me was very special because one told me, that got you where you are, right? Like your hard work. But then to get to the next level, you gotta learn. You gotta learn how to tell everybody what you have accomplished. You gotta learn to become a leader, right? So take risk. Take positions where it's safe to lead. You know, and I'll give you an example. I'm the chair of the Ford Hispanic Network, and I did that even before I came into this position. And it helped me because you have to learn how to lead by influence and not authority, you know? And I had like 600 people at this position, but you have to influence them because they really didn't work for me. They were all members, right? And so how do you do that? And I felt that book was was really good. And the other one is How Women Rise, because it gives me, the perspective of what are we good at, and what type of things do we do naturally that create the perception that we're emotional, for example, right? And how to manage that because it's possible. So.
One thing I would like to add is that right now we have a lot of information in front of us, books, blogs, website. So people are expressing their opinion, their guidance to you. So, but I think the most important thing is that you have to have your own experience to gain those knowledge, not just learn, just get it from the book.
Right.
Because sometimes if you read a lot of things, you don't know what to do. There's so many, suggestions here. You should do this. You should do that. But you have to think about who am I? What is my strength? And how can I explore it and boost my strengths?
Right.
So that is another suggestion I would like to give to you.
Absolutely. And I mean, I got a subscription to the Times and the Post because I got tired of watching the news. It was too painful to watch, the regular news. And then I do Google alerts on certain topics that I know I want to watch. I don't get to read as many books as I used to, but She Wins, You Win, a very old book by Gail Evans, I think is a very powerful book. So if you take a look at that. Also, why don't you pick up my book that was published in 2000? We said we're supposed to talk about what we did, right? Okay, Transforming Your STEM Career, Inspiration and Strategies for Women. Okay, so take a look at that. All right.
Hi, my name is Reese Chung. I'm a patent attorney at NASA Ames Research Center in Silicon Valley. And one topic that I hear raised is a concern that women of color, or women in general, are operating in our own little bubble and trying to advocate for ourselves when really I feel like we may need to engage not women of color, white males, white females to kind of step into our cause to also advocate for us. What can you speak to that topic a little?
Right. Well, I'll let you all talk, but I don't think that us coming here in any way intends to isolate us or marginalize the impact or influence of others that they can have with us. This is about, in my experience, celebrating the achievements which are often go under acknowledged for women of color, but just like I acknowledged the men earlier today, it's vitally important that we do create those relationships. I think Joan talked about the board of directors, so I'm going to let the panel weigh in on this, but none of this is meant to isolate us or to minimize the potential impact that people who don't look like women of color can have, okay?
And I would say is both, right? Because this forums makes us feel strong.
Yes.
It actually develops that on us where you said we build all those relationships that we can reach out to.
Yes.
But we do at Ford have a program that's called Men Advocating for Change because we truly do believe in what you're saying right now. It's not about leaving the men aside, but help them understand what our challenges are so that we can become, one. And so we do that all the time in our lives, right? Like most of us are married, right? And we influence our husbands or, or our wives if you're, and so we can do just that, right? Have the conversations, and we have had an excellent success, like within Ford, where, actually Gary Johnson, the Vice President of Manufacturing, it's also the lead for women in manufacturing. So you're absolutely correct as of to that's something that needs to happen. But I also believe us getting together as women and sharing our stories is as good.
Yeah, another thing I think, the most important thing for me, I think it's you need to demonstrate yourself. You are capable. Not just to talk, if you talk to somebody saying, well, you should pay attention to, diversity, you should, give opportunity to women of color. But, if you cannot demonstrate that you are capable of doing those things, they will not give that to you. So we deserve a promotion because we can contribute, we can add value, and we are capable. It's not just because we are women of color.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. Okay.
Hello, my name is Pierrette Swan. I'm currently a welding instructor. So full disclosure.
Go ahead, welding instructor. That's what I'm talking about.
Full disclosure, I was raised in a big Italian family in northern New Jersey. I have a way of coming across as very direct when I talk. I have often been accused of being overly passionate when I speak. In a world that we currently live in, where I see political leaders that are men that get emotional and loud and are still respected, yet I constantly have to work and compete with myself on how to say things tactfully, how to apologize before I even start speaking, on making sure I say the right thing as not to offend. How do you work on that to make sure that you're always coming across professionally, even when you are very passionate about the thing you're saying?
That's such a good question because, yes, and I'm gonna let them weigh in because I almost said this a minute ago, because as a black woman, you are often very easily labeled as an angry black woman or just because you're passionate and you want to make your point. So I'm glad to hear Italians have that same problem, okay? But we do have to be able to, and you said be our authentic selves, Claudia. And so we want to feel like we can be our authentic selves, but at the same time understand the environment in which we're operating. So, and there are ways to do that. And I'll let these ladies weigh in on this.
I'll start with that because I'm also very passionate, but I can tell you I'm also very polite. And so one of the biggest pieces of feedback that I've gotten in my career as I have gotten greater levels of responsibilities is, Stephanie, sometimes you come across a little too polite, and people might not be sure that you understand the impact of the situation. So, when I got that feedback, I called my mama. I said, Mama, they say I'm just too polite. She says, oh, I'm so proud of you, baby. No, this isn't good. This is a bad polite. So, but what I recognized after I got over being offended by that, and the same as you probably are, what do you mean? I've got energy. I want to get this done. What I listened to is I agree with Claudia about being authentic, and I also know that there are times, you don't have to disguise yourself, but there are times when you have to tweak. I'm a very happy person, so if I'm presenting a serious topic, I've gotten feedback, you can't be so happy about, you can't be that happy today. And so I'm still happy.
Bad quality is happy, okay?
So, but you have, and it does require work. And what I learned was, the reason with the polite piece was that people didn't know if I understood the seriousness of the situation. So what I tweaked was, I didn't start screaming and yelling and cussing people out. Which is actually some of the mentoring that I got, believe it or not. But what I did was I began to ensure that people understood I understood the seriousness of whatever topic I was portraying. So think about the why they're saying this. Final comment from me on this. Just because we have people in the political community and all around that are acting like that does not give anybody license to do it, in my mind. And so we have to make sure we're representing ourselves as we want to be represented.
And it's rough some days, but we do.
And I just want to say, what you're really trying to achieve is get a message across. And so at the end of the conversation, you have to understand what mechanism for that crowd will get your message across. And sometimes it's passion, sometimes it's being serious. But at the bottom line, if you're not getting your message across and they're not hearing you, you need to modify your behavior, because it's not about you winning in the conversation, it's about you winning and delivering that message.
Absolutely.
And I was just going to say, because part of your question was too, like, I'm tired of them being able to do that, but we can't, right? So I will tell you a really short story that a friend of mine told me, and it really impacted me. And is this vice president who's a male, right? Who's known for being in manufacturing, which, he could say whatever he wants to whomever he wanted to. And so she was working on some sort of presentation for him. She comes into the room, and he, being him, throws it like around the table, and it says, this doesn't work, like, why are you, and I can't repeat everything that she told me that he said, right? And so she thought to herself, this is a turning point for me. If I let him do this to me, he's going to continue doing this, and I'm going to have to continue listening to him. And so what she said was, are you done? Because once you're done, we can start having a conversation. So don't let it, like, and I really
to
took that
take
with
a
me,
stand
though.
for yourself. You do.
Exactly.
You do.
So don't just let them do that
that.
to you,
Absolutely.
but stand up for yourself and
Right.
respectfully, right? I know,
Absolutely.
like, I've been at a plant before where my plant manager is very, powerful, right, in a way where you feel as if, you're not in the same
Right.
place, so you have to, and very respectfully, you can tell them, right? It's like, what I have in here is not going to change.
Right, right.
This is the law, for example, so.
And I mean, and we can continue this conversation. As you see, we could talk all day, and I am so thankful. Let's give these ladies a hand.
Thank
Are they
you.
amazing? So amazing. So we will be around for the rest of the day, and they're giving me all kind of messages to wrap up, but we are having such a good time. But we want you to stay up to date on all of the Women of Color news, so get the text alerts, so text WOC23 to 77948. And I want to again encourage you to connect with each other. No one should leave this Women of Color and Technology Conference feeling like you don't now at this point have some folks that you can identify with, that you can reach out to and connect with. Now, and you've got these amazing women up here who will be around for the rest of the day, so you can have an opportunity to speak with them. And it's so important that we do take advantage of this opportunity. And there have been so many words of wisdom today. I just thank you, Stephanie, Claudia, Joan, Beth. I mean, you are just fantastic.
Thank you, Pamela.
You're
Thank
very
you.
welcome. It's been my pleasure. So get the app. There you go. So get the app, please. Tony's going to fire me if you don't get the app. So get the app, download it, and that will help you connect with everyone. Also optimize your experience. I'm an industrial engineer, so we're always looking at ways to optimize things, be more efficient, and it will also help you stay connected. So search Career Communications Group at the App Store, and you will be in business. So it has been my true pleasure to be here this morning. Congratulations to all our awardees. Thank you all for being here, and we look forward to the rest of the conference with you. Have a great day. Thank you.